So today on the Tough Juice podcast, I had the privilege of interviewing Kristine Leahy, and we talked about so many things. I think that it's so many layers to her story on how she came up, how she really got her first breakthrough in television, and ultimately the LeVar Ball discussion and all those things. I think that there's so many layers to her that needs to be discovered and talked about, and we dove right into it. Be sure to subscribe to the Tough Juice podcast on the Himalaya app or wherever you get your pods.
How did you know I'm a fan of wine?
Because we was talking about it.
Oh, you have a
I
good
don't have
memory.
husband ears. I listen.
I know. Thank you for listening to me. That's good.
Thank you.
No, it's like word on the street now is that I love wine, and because I post a lot about wine, and they've started saying like if I have a problem. And no, I know because when I'm on vacation, I'm always like going to vineyards and tasting wine, and they're like, Kristine, you should probably not tell everyone how much you drink. But it's not like I'm drinking that much. I'm just like if I'm on vacation, I go to a vineyard, I want to drink. Oh, that's right. We talked about your place in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then I get home from Italy, and I come home to, I'm not kidding you, boxes and boxes of rosé, like all these different companies.
Just sending you stuff.
They heard that I liked wine.
You see that?
So I get all these boxes of wine. I'm like, oh God, I look horrible right now.
So I got to rewind. So you Midwest girl from Chicago, correct?
Yeah.
All right. So how was your life growing up, like in the beginning stages?
In the beginning? So my dad actually grew up right outside of New York. He's 6'5", he played basketball. So he would always play like in the city of New York. And then when they moved to Chicago, my mom worked in a juvenile delinquent center. So yeah. So
Oh, wow, that's deep.
Yeah. So my dad was like coaching AAU and my mom was working there. So I feel like I just kind of got immersed in a lot of diversity when I was in Chicago, which in some pockets of Chicago you don't. So that was definitely part of my upbringing that I love. But it was otherwise, yeah, I moved to the suburbs. My mom and dad were together. I have two little brothers. I tried to play sports, but my dad was my coach. I think I didn't really want to play for him. So I didn't really go into that. My brothers did. They were athletic. I was a cheerleader and I sang.
Yeah. So you always talked about that. Is that something that you always loved doing though?
Singing?
Yeah, singing and playing sports.
I didn't love playing sports. No, I would be like out in right field making dandelion necklaces.
Really?
No
So
joke.
you was not interested?
No. I scored my first basket, I think, for the other team.
It happens. It happens.
It does, right? I was like, wow, no one's guarding me. This is awesome. I'm going to score, and it's so easy. And my dad was so humiliated that I was his child. I was really tall, too. I was like 5'10".
So early
in
you
sixth grade.
had good sides.
Yeah. So now everyone asks what sports I play, and I feel like I'm letting them down. But I did just make it into my high school's athletic hall of fame.
Oh, congrats.
Thank you. But
That's
not
major.
as an athlete. It's just for my job, which I'll take it, and I think my dad's proud.
Well, you're really good at your job. So did you ever
Thank
see
you.
yourself on television at a young age?
Yeah. Well, you know what I thought I was going to be was Britney Spears.
Oh, really?
I did.
You did say singing and dancing.
Yeah, I would do voice.
I thought I was going to be Tupac. Just put that out
Don't
there.
we all?
Yeah, yeah. I
I
thought I could rap, but I couldn't.
I loved Coolio was my first album I ever
Gangsta's
bought.
Paradise.
Gangsta's Paradise.
Look at you.
My very first album. I was so excited. My parents watched the movie. They wouldn't let me watch it. Dangerous Minds. So I would go to school, and I was so excited to go home and listen to my Coolio album. But then it was explicit lyrics, and my brothers are younger, so they wouldn't let me listen to it for a while. I had to go in my room.
So when did they let you like kind of cross over? Because you say you grew up in different pockets of Chicago.
Yeah.
We know that Chicago is rough. Yeah, different.
Now, it wasn't so... There's different parts of Chicago that were rough, but I went to performing arts school in the city. I'd walk through Cabrini Green by myself
see what I'm saying?
to go to school.
That's different.
It's different. It's not like that. Cabrini Green's gone in Chicago.
Tore it down.
But it's dangerous in Chicago right now, everywhere.
Yeah. So did that give you like the balance? Because I feel like, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I feel like when you're in front of people, like real people, like myself and various other people, it's a short list of people that I've seen you in front of, and I'm like, damn, they put their guard down around her for a reason. Is it any reason why? Is it a method to that?
There's definitely a method to it. I think I grew up, the Midwest is so unique. I think you're just real. There's no choice but to be real. On the East Coast and the West Coast, East Coast, everyone's like hustle, hustle, hustle. West Coast, there's a lot of celebrity and Hollywood, all that kind of stuff, which is a place for that. It just was never me. So I always really wanted to be authentic. And I think people appreciate that, especially athletes, because there's so many shows right now that it's just hot takes or whatever I can say to get a headline or to make ratings, which I get. I understand that's money, but it was just never me. I never wanted to do that. And so I think when athletes come on my show, they know that I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm not trying to goad you into saying something stupid. If you say something stupid, that's on you. But they just feel comfortable opening up to me because I'm just normal, I think.
Yeah. Have you always been like that? Because I know you got your start in like the digital space, right?
Long time ago. I worked for the Celtics and I worked for WEI in Boston when I first started. Then I went to TV in LA for CBS, KCAL. Then I started doing American Ninja Warrior. I did the Little Turner.
Which is one of my favorite shows still.
Yeah?
Yeah, American Ninja Warrior. I told you that.
You want to compete?
Absolutely
I know some
not.
people if you want to.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
But I just like watching it. And I think you do a remarkable job because you remember all the people.
Yeah.
Old, new, fresh. Like, isn't that tough?
So here's something. I don't do the show anymore. We would shoot from 4 p.m. That was my call time. And I would usually wrap around 7 a.m. And you only see on the show, it's 2 hours per episode, and you probably would see me interview 5 people. We ran 120 people in a night, and I would interview about 75 of them. Yeah, from 4 p.m. until 7 a.m. So it was actually the hardest job I've ever had. But yes, I do remember them. So I would get on the plane. I would shoot, most of the time I was on the Herd with Colin. I would shoot that, which was 6:30 a.m. I would get there, and I would leave around 12:30 or 1. Get on the plane, study all 120 people that were going to be on the show, and then go shoot that for 2 nights, and then go back.
You have a photographic memory or something? Like,
No.
how do you retain all that information?
You don't. You just, I would highlight the parts that I knew I needed to. I know what it takes to interview. So I would pick out certain parts of their one sheets that I knew would mean it would be a good interview question, like something that would make them cry or something that would hit home with them. I know, that's kind of my job, to make people cry.
Yeah.
In a good way.
That's an art.
Yeah. So I would just highlight certain things, like 2 or 3 things per person. So then when they were on the course, I could just flip to that page really quickly. I would remember because I had those things highlighted, go out and do the interview and come back.
So where does that discipline come from? So it has to start early because...
It's a great question.
Yeah.
This is weird, by the way, you interviewing me.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Like, I'm a fan. I really am.
You
like,
are.
I'm a friend and a fan.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
That drive started from when I was little. My parents worked for everything they had. They were broke. Living in Chicago, they told me stories of how they would literally count their coin jar just to pay for stuff. And their parents didn't pay for college. My grandmother was putting like ketchup on spaghetti, which is funny because I think a lot of people think that I had this really privileged life growing up. And I did eventually. My parents did very well for themselves, but not in the beginning. So I always saw them working like that. I had a job when I was 15 years old.
Doing what?
Oh, it was the best. It was called My Secret Garden. It was this little place where girls would go for their birthday parties.
Oh, wow.
And they would have dresses that people donated from like proms or weddings. And then the girls would dress up and we'd have little tea parties for them.
Did that help you in the interview process? Because I feel like so many people on the public stage, they take jobs where they have to interact with people.
Yeah.
And I've been a franchise owner. I've been in that space. And I'm like, look, don't come in and put an application in if you don't like people.
Totally.
If you can't deal with people. So did that help you deal with people?
Yeah, and that's why, there's a lot of people on TV, to be honest with you, who don't like people.
Yeah.
And so, but it works because they don't have to talk to people. I love people. I love learning about people. And I think where that really started was in college because I worked really hard. My parents told me that I had to pay for part of my college if I wanted to go to a private school.
Oh, wow. So they held you accountable to that.
Oh, yeah. I had to pay for part of college. And I went to BU, and I knew they gave me an amount of money that they would pay for my college. So I could have done that. I had scholarship offers to other places, but I decided to go to BU, which is like $52,000 a year. It's insane. But I knew it was great for sports broadcasting, so I did it. And I wound up having to pay. So I bartended in college. And that is where I got Tuff, because bartending in Boston is tough. There were athletes that would come in all the time, so I started to kind of get to know how they are in a different setting. And I would talk to people all day. So if I was working like a lunch shift, there would be guys that would come in for lunch, or women too, and I would just have conversations with them.
So bringing you to that, like while you was bartending, you was able to deal with a tough audience.
Yeah.
Like, did that prepare you for, one of your breakthroughs? Like, what was your breakthrough, and then did that prepare you for the tough audience that you had to deal with?
Yeah, I had really thick skin. I think I've always had thick skin, though. That's from my parents. But that made me even tougher, because the things that guys say when you're bartending, it's like they just think you're an object back there, and
Like
that
what?
I'm not an actual person.
Like what?
I would have guys come in who were older than my dad, rings on their finger, hitting on me, but in disgusting ways, like really gross things that they would say, and it's just like, ew, dude, what makes you think? First of all, that I'm interested in you, like no chance.
Pause.
Just because I'm giving you a beer, it means you're paying me. I'm not. There's nothing else.
It's my job.
Yeah. So, or if I have a conversation with someone, it's weird stuff. But yeah, that's where I got my tough skin. And then you said, when is my breakthrough?
Yeah.
I feel like I've had a few, to be honest. And it's weird because, did you ever have a moment in your career where you're like, okay, I made it?
Yes.
What was it?
Oprah.
Okay, that's a good one.
Yeah. I went on the Oprah show with Kanye West, might I add.
Okay, yeah, you made it.
And how did your biggest disaster or your biggest moment of adversity turn you into who you are today? And I felt like to be on that platform with Oprah, to tell that story, and this was when Oprah was like, she's still Oprah, but it was just like one of those moments, like my grandmama, everybody came out. It was just a special time.
Yeah, no, that's amazing.
Yeah.
I love Oprah. I want to be not the female Oprah, the new Oprah.
Yeah.
The new Oprah. That's what
crazy.
I want.
Yeah, so is that someone that you modeled your
No.
whole situation after, or who?
I didn't model myself after anyone. I hate that I even say that, but there was nobody I could point to and say that's what I want to do. I think also in sports, there are not very many women who are at the top, and I always wanted to be at the top. I'm extremely competitive, and I knew my first job offer was from ESPN. I turned it down.
Why?
I didn't want to live in Bristol and work in a basement. I didn't, and I knew that wasn't right for me. I knew I never wanted to host SportsCenter, ever. That's just not my thing. So I always kind of moved my career in ways where I could get to where I had more control over it and where I could be really creative. So my show now is, it's not the end game for me, but it's a step towards that and more of a talk show environment.
Why is it so tough for women in this space?
There's not many of us, honestly. It's a combination of, there are still, unfortunately, a lot of men who watch sports television and think, well, how can she possibly talk about this because she didn't play sports, or she never was in the NBA? And that's bullshit, because there's so many men who are on TV who are doing a great job who also never played. So who cares? And then there's just misogyny too. I'm not saying everybody is. I have a lot of really great male fans and I love it. But then there's also just not very many women in positions of power in the executive positions at sports networks. So they're not really working to make sure that women feel included. I think when women have babies in sports TV, they're often pushed out, unfortunately. Women start to look older, and there is definitely a sense, I think it's getting a little bit better, but it would be in sports television that women were just like, she's the hot one on TV that shows up at halftime to give a quick interview and is the eye candy. And so when you lose that hotness, you're done. So you have to have more substance to you.
So what are you doing to, kind of change that narrative and move the needle in a different direction?
So I produce my show. I'm the executive producer of my show. So for me, thank you.
Cheers.
Thank you. I'm very proud of that.
That's major.
Yeah.
That's major. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. You didn't know that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
I knew you had a lot of...
Say?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I didn't know you was moving like that.
Oh, yeah,
That's major.
I decided when I knew I was going to have my own show on FS1 that I really wanted to do something different. I didn't want to do the hot takes, and that's nothing against them. There's a place for it. It's successful. I just knew it wasn't me, and I always thought that I'm best on TV when I'm really authentic and just me. So I wanted to do something like that. I produced my show. We put the staff together. And I always try to make sure I have projects going on that are behind the scenes as well as in front of the camera, so that if for some reason I am pushed out eventually from being on camera, which I hope I'm not, that I still have the rest of that to go back on.
So what is the key to longevity in this space?
I wish I knew. I think it's changing. I think digital is a lot more important right now than traditional TV. For me, when my show, I shouldn't say this, but when my show started, I cared more about my YouTube numbers than my ratings. Because to me, the people who are buying and consuming are younger. And I want those people watching my show because that's going to turn into advertising dollars, right? So if I had the younger audience on YouTube watching, that was good to me. And that also means that they appreciate what I'm doing, which I think is kind of a turn as well. And why I wanted to do this kind of show is I would talk to people my age, and I have two younger brothers, I would talk to their friends, and they were sick of the way sports TV was going, and they just felt like a lot of it was fake. So I think when my YouTube numbers show that I have a lot of viewers, it means that they appreciate that it's authentic.
How do you still resonate with, like you said, the young consumer and still be able to be that carrot for them to follow? I think that's an interesting thing because it changes every probably 2 or 3 years where you kind of can lose that. But I feel like you still stay super current. And I'm always
because I'm
seeing
young.
you.
I'm not that old.
No, but I'm you get old quick, in this game, where it's I got a steady dose of her for 2 or 3 years now. All right, I whatever. But you stay fresh with ideas on a show that you produce. It's
about your staff too. I make sure I have a lot of younger people on the staff because then they're coming, and diverse, because women, men, all different cultures. That's because I need all those different ideas. I might not know about something that's new, but at least I have a person there who can tell me about it, and then I'm open-minded to it. And consuming. I just consume a lot of media.
Yeah. Did that help you a lot? When you was on the show with Cowherd? Did that help? Just sitting back and consuming content and information? The personalities that you've seen on the show?
You know what that helped me with? It helped me really understand how much I wanted to talk. I hated sitting in the corner.
Yeah.
I hated it.
But you had a voice.
Not really.
Yeah,
you think
did.
so?
I think you did because you actually displayed a strong voice.
I
for
did.
Instance, when LeVar Ball came on, and that was something that took headlines that just went off. What gave you the strength of just something that's you know what, I'm gonna speak on it and just say something at this time?
You know what's crazy about that is I didn't even realize how big of a deal that was gonna be until an hour after it happened, because it was just me. If a guy is going to disrespect me, I'm going to stand up for myself. I did it in a very respectful way.
Yeah.
I was like, why wouldn't you answer me? Why aren't you going to look at me? That's not very nice to come on a show and not address me. It just was natural. My parents raised me to stand up for myself too, but it's not in a aggressive way. It was just, I'm not going to let anyone take advantage of me, disrespect me. So it just seemed natural. And I'm educated on the topics that I'm talking about. So whenever on the herd I would talk, I didn't get to talk a lot. So when I did talk, I made sure that it was meaningful and powerful. But yeah, what happened with LeVar, I didn't realize that was going to be such a thing until an hour later when the internet blew up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt like that was, honestly, for me, just watching from afar, I felt like that was the turning point for you.
Yeah, it's so weird because a lot of people say that, and I don't do a single interview where I'm not asked about him. It was because I think a lot of people heard my name that hadn't heard me before. I honestly hate that it was attached to that.
Yeah.
Because I still haven't talked about everything that happened. It was a very, 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 very ugly time of my life that goes deeper than anyone could have even imagined. I had actually had surgery a couple days before. I wasn't supposed to be working. And I was sitting on set, in so much pain, recovering from it, and it made it worse. My boyfriend at the time was black. I thought my kids were going to be black. It devastated me that they would ever have to read online any of the comments that said that their mother was racist.
Oh, wow.
That just killed me, because for anyone to even think that, it was just if you know me, you know that it couldn't be further from the truth.
Yeah.
So for my kids, my future kids, what I thought at the time would be, that killed me. And then my parents and my family, they got death threats, really bad death threats. And I'm not trying to play, because then everyone said I was playing the victim too, but it is real. And we did get a lot of death threats to the point where I had to have security with me. They determined I had to have security with me, which was really sad for me too, because then I'm getting called the victim, but then I don't want to be the victim, but I also had to protect myself, but more so my family. Like the messages that my brothers were getting were some of the most disgusting things I've ever seen. So that just, because I signed up for it, they didn't sign up for this.
Yeah.
So that killed me. And then just having to navigate that at Fox was really hard because not everybody agreed with that. There were a lot of people who thought that, and what Charlemagne said about me was, again, just devastating.
What did he say?
He compared me to the Emmett Till situation.
Oh, wow.
Which is like, really? Like, that I'm the reason that innocent Black men are being murdered. And it was just like, really? Really?
That's deep.
It was a tough thing to navigate. And it comes up a lot. Then the T-shirt thing, and I tried to turn that I always tried to take the high road. I turned it into a positive and had people, because they were saying, I'll buy you a Stay in Your Lane T-shirt. And instead I said, don't buy me a T-shirt, but donate to Girls Inc. Let's donate to women, all races, and just kind of try to make this a positive thing. So it was a lot that I had to go through behind the scenes, too, that no one knew, because I didn't want to make a bigger deal out of it than it was.
Yeah. Who was most supportive in that time? That hard, huh?
Yeah, oh God, it was, I was alone in a hotel by myself for a week that week. Because it was that bad. Who was there for me? My family. There were a lot of nights that I would just cry on the phone with them, with a security guard outside of my door, armed. I had to go get, this is TMI, but I was in Cleveland, we were shooting Ninja Warrior. I had to go get tampons, and they wouldn't let me walk by myself, so I had to have a male cop walk me to go get tampons.
Wow.
Yeah, and go with me in CVS. And I don't want to say this like for anyone to feel bad for me. It's not that. It's just this was a part of my story. And so whenever anyone says like, oh, this was your breakthrough, it was, but at the same time, it's not easy. And I don't want anyone to think that this is an easy thing to do or an easy rise. It's just that this is the reality of what happened.
Yeah, but you was informed enough to, talk about anything or make any statement that you felt close to your heart.
Yeah, or about LeVar and
or anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I said was, I think that it was that the Big Baller brand wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
And I said on one of the shows, it wasn't.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
not.
a fact.
I say things about everything. I just say what I think, and I have an informed opinion on it. It's not disrespect. It's just this is what it is.
Yeah.
And I think anyone who knows me or who has seen me on TV knows that I'm not saying shit just to say it.
Yeah.
So Big Baller brand was struggling, and I just said, hey, I think it'd be really important for them, if they want to succeed, to also market to women. Because if you look at Nike, and I think they weren't getting bought by Nike and Adidas, and they wanted to.
Yeah.
And I said, if you look at Nike and Adidas, a lot of their merchandise is geared to women. And those are also like the moms who are watching at home who are going to buy stuff for their kids. That's all I said. And then there was, I think, a time where Lonzo came on and he wasn't allowed to speak. So I just said, it'd be great to hear from Lonzo. I would love for Lonzo to speak, but it feels like he doesn't want to speak when LeVar is there. So apparently that was very bad of me to say.
Yeah, it happens. I get that sometimes too. What's real cannot be threatened.
Yeah, and I stand by everything I said. I'm usually pretty careful with my words, but it's never coming from a bad place. So I always felt okay with it.
So when you left that space, because that's a large platform.
The Herd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leaving the Herd and then going to do your own thing, was you nervous at any time?
No.
None whatsoever?
No, I have this weird thing where I don't get nervous.
Really?
I don't know if that's
Where
good.
does that
Did
come
you get
from?
nervous playing basketball?
I'm going to tell you. So I used to get anxiety every time I stepped on the basketball court before a game.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a good feeling in the prime of my career, early stages. And once I stopped getting that feeling, I knew that was time for me to retire.
Oh no! Oh, is it time for me to retire?
No, I just wasn't like in the moment of everything no more. And I was just like, I think
it becomes a job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's not the word. Nervous would mean afraid to fail. I always don't want to fail, but I believe in myself enough that I know I won't. So, and I don't think that my energy is best spent worrying. I think that's just a waste of energy. So I'd rather direct that towards, okay, how do I win and succeed? So I don't think I was nervous. It was more of like, okay, this is a challenge. I know I can do it. It's going to be really hard, but I'm going to do the best that I possibly can. And I believe in it.
Yeah. What's some of the best advice someone's given you, in life or in this business that's just really paid off dividends?
That's good. The best advice I've ever been given. That's a great question. I haven't gotten a lot of advice. It's weird. It's this business is not really one for mentorship.
That's for real.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah. So from very early on, it was not a mentorship sort of thing. I wish I had one, but I think what I would say is over the years, the advice that I've collected or what I've learned that I would say is good advice is to stick to your gut, trust yourself, but also make sure you're listening to other people whose opinions you respect. If you take in everyone's opinions, you're going to go crazy. And there's only a few people really who you should trust in life. And those people, listen to them. But otherwise, stick to what you think.
So do you follow the wave or do you create it?
I don't follow the wave. No, I create the wave.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would go crazy if I just followed.
That's deep.
Yeah. For a second, I thought, okay, I was in a place where my schedule day to day was really good. And I knew I could be there for a long time and make a good amount of money. But I was so bored. And I could be a mom. I knew with that schedule, I could be a really good mom and a schedule that it would allow me to be, not that you have to be at home to be a good mom, but the way I wanted to be a mom, I would have enough time to be with them a lot and not travel. Hands-on. But I couldn't do it. I just wasn't challenged. I needed to keep going.
Yeah. So is that something in the near future?
No, that's what happened with this show.
Yeah.
That's your baby?
No, I'm saying.
Yeah, this is my baby. Oh, like actual children?
Yeah.
I want children. Yeah. I'm 33, so.
So you want children soon or?
Yeah.
Yeah, real soon?
I mean, soon. I'm not pregnant.
Oh, okay. I know.
I'm drinking wine. I'm not pregnant.
I know you're not pregnant, but look. So it's hot in here. Let me have a drink too.
Right.
So we had a female guest on, and
Do I know her?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And she said that in the space that she's in, she's always receiving mail, letters from all type of individuals.
Yeah.
Inmates.
Yeah.
Everything.
Oh yeah, I've gotten the inmate letters.
Do you read them? No.
No.
Why not?
Because those things, they come in the craziest envelopes, with like the jail stickers. I don't want that. That's not energy I need to. I'm very protective of my energy, so I don't like to allow things in that'll mess with that.
Disturb it.
Yeah.
So what do you allow in your energy or in your bubble?
Good people who respect and love me and who I love and respect back. Obviously, I have to include some people who don't fall in those categories just on a day-to-day basis, but I'm really careful about it. Yeah, it's business.
Yeah.
And there's a way to operate with that too. But if you're really getting to me, I love you and I trust you.
So is it anyone that you had on your show or you interviewed in the past or most recent present that you had this perception about and then they just like completely shocked you?
Totally. And I feel bad because I get asked that question a lot too, and I've interviewed 237 people in the last year. So here's a secret, and I feel really bad about this. I prepare so hard for every interview, and I will know everything about my guest. And then as soon as I'm done, it's gone. It has to be, because that's the only way that I can take in all the information for the next guest. So I forget pretty quickly.
So you're a walking computer, like you Dropbox it and then you delete it.
Kind of, but I have to. I wish I didn't but the truth is, and that should say, I'm so invested in the interviews that I do. You've been there. Like I really want to know who you are. And so I give everything to that interview. So there's no way for me to keep other stuff in my head if I'm going to give my time to them and the interview to them.
Gotcha.
So, but yes, there have definitely been people who I was like, oh, this will be whatever. And it was amazing. I know you're going to ask me who, and I can't remember, but I could if I went back.
Craziest interview you ever done?
Oh, gosh, I did one the other day. This is so bad. I did one the other day.
I won't even put you on the spot because I was put on the spot with the Larry Bird thing.
Yeah, that's true.
You owe me one. You owe me one.
There was a person that came on the show, I am not going to give you the name, who was not with it, we'll say, while I was interviewing them, and I was not able to, there was no clear path. It was all over the place.
Yeah.
And I actually had to write a note to my producer during the interview and say, am I crazy or is he?
Yeah.
Yes.
Are y'all seeing this?
Yeah, and they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the tough one.
So how do you navigate through that still?
That was a hard one, and I can usually navigate through anything, but I was just sitting there like, this isn't making any sense what this person is saying. And they were like getting up and like moving around during the interview, and like it was very bizarre. So I just kind of tried to understand, but the sentences they were putting together didn't flow. Oh, man. Yeah, it was bad. So I would just be like, okay. And tell me about, like, I just tried to keep going back to what we were doing, and we got through it.
So what is I think, the biggest seed that you would like to plant? Like if anybody that's coming up trying to get into this space, or if they're watching you from afar, it's something that you would like them to take from you.
Oh, to learn?
Yeah.
I would say like as advice, sort of,
Yeah.
or what I want them to feel.
Yeah. Anything.
I just hope that people who watch me or who follow my career just see that I am real and that I am authentic. That just means the most to me. If I ever get somebody, writing to me or coming up to me in public and they say that they see that I'm a good person, or they can tell that I'm the same on the air as I am off the air, that makes my day. That's all I want, because that's all I really can be, is myself. So that, and I think for people who are coming up, that's a good thing to stick to too, because there's a lot of push right now to be something that you're not, or try to get likes on Instagram and different things, and that'll work for a little bit, but at the end of the day, or when you're 70 years old and you're in a rocking chair, like, can you look back at your life and say you're proud to live it? Yeah. That's how I always operate.
So how do you stay true to that?
My circle is small. I stay close to my family and my close friends, and they always kind of keep me in check. Like my little brother who lives in LA, if I ever am like, oh, I have to do hair and makeup, he's like, shut up, Kristine. Like, I don't care. They just don't care, and I love that. And my best friends are people that I've known since high school and college. So I just try to stay really grounded. It's hard, but I think that's life to me. This is my job. It is who I am in a way, but it's not everything.
Yeah. So have you ever got out there? Because, for instance, myself, I got out there before.
What do you mean, got out there?
Yeah, you know what? I was making this ton of money. I'm feeling myself.
Yeah.
I thought I was cute.
Everyone has to have that
Yeah,
phase.
yeah.
Everyone has to have it.
But then I got checked.
How'd you get checked?
My grandmother called me and said, "Hey, baby, I ain't heard from you in a while, and Big Mama love you. Just want you to know that family miss you." I said, "I was just home. No,
Yeah.
You was there, but you wasn't there." Uh-huh. If that make any sense.
Yeah, I get it.
And that was just like a self-check like no other right there.
Yeah.
And we just want you to know we love you. And it had me like
And then you
police
came
myself
back?
a little better. Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, maybe I was a little
Yeah.
feeling myself.
Yeah. I think I had a little phase like that. Yeah. I think listen, if you're on camera or you're in any sort of a limelight, I think you have to do it at some point just to get it out of your system. But then you come back.
Who checked you?
Who checked me? Probably myself. Yeah, probably myself, because I just was like, I'm tired. I'm tired. I don't really like the energy that's around me. And I just kind of cleaned it out. It wasn't anything bad. It was just, I was going out a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I was going out a lot. Yeah, I was in the scene. I was just like around a lot of people that I didn't need to be. I've never done a drug in my life. Do you know that?
Oh, that's
Never.
Deep. Yeah, I just smoke cigars and drink wine.
I just learned how to smoke cigars 2 weeks ago, and I love it.
And now that I know that, I'm going to make sure that you keep a handful.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really like it. It's very relaxing.
That's it. Just on that hill.
Yeah.
Just on the hill.
So, no, I never went that crazy, but I was definitely out. And then I just realized I needed to calm down. I think for me it wasn't like I need to experience all of this. It was just that so much had happened in my life that I had to keep a secret and keep quiet. And I was just like, fuck it. Like, I'm just going to go live my life right now. And I did that. And then I came back.
Yeah, I think the best thing for me, like you said, like keeping secrets, and like I had a lot of trauma that I had to address.
Exactly.
And I use platforms to do it, like coming on your show, coming on various shows, and even my own show, just talking about those things. Do you like vent out in that way?
I haven't yet, but I swear I have books in me. Oof. And they will be some good ones.
You got some series.
Oh, I got a couple books that are coming. I haven't yet because, and I'm not kidding, like some of the stuff that I will tell one day is insane.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. And I don't think people would expect that from me.
Yeah. You got to give me one story.
It's so,
give me an intro
it's
to
insane.
a chapter.
The thing is, if I even give you the intro, it's like, whoa.
We ready for it.
It's just, there's just been a few things that have happened in my life that have been very, very, very traumatic. And I want to be careful about the way that I say it and the way that I let people know. For me, I don't need it to heal. I've healed. I just want to do it to help other people and to show other people, like, it's not a cakewalk. Anytime someone says to me, like, oh, it's so easy, you have all this, and it's like, no, it's not. I'm very lucky and grateful, and I work hard, but I have gone through some shit, and I want people to just know that so they don't just look at celebrities or people on TV and think that it's just all great and awesome and be jealous of it, because you shouldn't. I'm jealous sometimes of people who just live an amazing, normal life every day.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's crazy. Hardest thing for a woman in this industry would be what?
I think the lack of male support, which is why I'm thankful to you. You give me a ton of support.
Always.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is I find more male support, and I know it doesn't get turned into, from athletes. And it's, yes, a lot of it, I'm going to be real honest, a lot of them it's like flirtation and hitting on. I'm not talking about that kind.
Yeah.
More athletes have been supportive and, hey, what can I do to help? Or like, how can I put out this video or tell people about your show than my colleagues or the executives who I work for. So that definitely hinders women, I would say. The pay inequality is real.
It's crazy.
Oh, it's real. Yeah, that and just the support in general. So I actually take a lot of pride in the fact that I'm getting a lot of support from the athletes, and I know that's going to sound like, oh, yeah, I know why they're supporting you, but it's not all like that. And that means a lot because those are the ones that I'm actually interviewing, and most athletes hate to be interviewed. Yeah. Let's be honest.
They do.
So if they like what I'm doing, that says a lot to me.
So how hard is ownership in this space and being a producer in this space? Because it's different from this being one of the on-stage talents.
Yeah, it is. I love it. I really love it. It's like my first time being a boss too, but not in the sense of I'm a boss. It's like
you are though.
I am, but I take it more as a responsibility, and I want to make sure that I'm making good decisions and that I'm learning, and that I'm the people who work for the show, that I'm helping them and guiding them in a way that they need, and that we're producing the best thing possible. So it's hard because this was my first time. So I definitely am not perfect at it by any means, but it just learning. But it is difficult, but I love it. Yeah. I really love it. It's my baby right now.
Yeah, so the biggest thing for you going forward is what? I know you said you touched on it. You want to do books.
Yeah, I'll write books.
Everything. Like, what else do you want to do? Like, what's in the near future for you?
I would like to produce more, and I have a couple little projects in the works with different companies. And I don't even think I'll be on camera for most of them. Like little mini series types of things for online platforms. Producing those. I would love to expand my show into something bigger. Half an hour isn't enough for me right now.
Yeah, you got so much great content.
Yeah.
You need to go on tour with that.
I know. Oh gosh, we have hours and hours and hours and hours of content. So just expanding and producing more.
Yeah. Before I get to my last question, I have to ask this. Like, we're talking about some of the athletes in this space, and we talked about it off camera, but I have to talk about it. Like, all males
I didn't say all male.
athletes.
Hold on, I'm checking my phone because I had to ask someone permission about something.
Okay, let's make sure.
Okay, go ahead.
All male athletes cheat, or what's the percentage?
I said probably, and this came also from another athlete who we both know who was on my show and said,
I don't think he mind saying
okay,
his
Gilbert
name.
Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas. He don't
straight
no
up
chill.
said,
No
straight
chill.
up
I'll
said
see
on
him
the
tomorrow.
show that I'm asking permission. Hold on. Okay, that all athletes cheat, or all guys in the NBA at least. And so we just mentioned that, and I would say at least 90,
What's your percentage?
95.
Why so high? And why? Like really get to like the layer of that.
Oh, you wanted to talk about the psychology of it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that, and listen, I don't want to generalize because I think there are a lot of, athletes who are not like that. Like, not every athlete's the same. I look at everybody as a person. I really do. And I think that the most successful people in general, not only just athletes, but you have to have a certain drive in you and like a killer mentality, and not a ton of empathy. If you're out on the court and you just want to kill, like, you don't have time to worry about people's feelings. You just don't. I think athletes also have a lot of options at their disposal at all times. So it's hard, and once you do it once, I think it's easier to justify, what you did. I think I always say, and I've talked with athletes about this too, it's better to wait until you're retired, because I think both people are looking for different things in the relationship. And then once you're retired, it's like, well, wait, oh, you don't have the lifestyle I wanted anymore. Oh, hey, you don't really love me for me anymore. And I think a lot of that goes on, not always. But when we brought that up, I do think, yeah.
That's a real opinion, because I feel like, for instance, it's like the double-edged sword. Like with women, like it can be a beautiful woman, like yourself.
Thank you.
But you're able to police yourself. Like, for instance, when you told the story about being a bartender and you being like back off, like no cap, but like ain't nothing happening.
Yeah.
And I think that you have certain athletes, more than half of a percentage, that able to discipline themselves in those situations. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because they understand that,
there's consequences.
Yeah, and also their beach is better. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
So
yeah.
like it's, I know that the high percentage used to be high, but I don't think it's.
You think it's coming down?
I really do, because, and I'll tell you why. And it's crazy that the world is connected through this thing of social media. Mm-hmm. And I think that in our era, it was totally different, where everything was invisible or people can be captured in certain ways. But now I think that it's a sharing society that, one, people don't want to cheat, but two, they're scared to cheat because how it will be presented to the world.
Yeah.
And we've seen athletes in the more recent past get caught out there and put out there in a major way. And then when you have descendants, when you have kids and stuff like that, you don't want them to be exposed to that introduction of you.
That's true. And I love that way of thinking.
Yeah.
I think sometimes that doesn't always enter the mind in the moment.
Yeah.
But it is true. And that's an unfortunate too about being in the public, is that your mistakes are public.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I will say, I think the guys who have been exposed for that kind of thing, they're loved 2 days later.
They really?
Yeah.
That fast?
Yeah. If they're out on the court doing what they need to do, or the field or whatever, doing what they need to do, no one's going to be like, I don't like him anymore because I heard he cheated on his wife.
So you feel like you can win the audience back over by a good performance?
Yeah. You
Really?
don't think so?
No, I mean, I think that some people that get canceled, like in people's minds, like they're canceled forever. You know what I mean?
Certain people. But I also want to be careful. Like, it's not like I'm saying, oh, you've cheated. Like, if anyone's cheated, they're a bad person or whatever. It's not my business.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens. Everyone makes mistakes. Whatever you have in your marriage is up to you. Or in your relationship, that is up to you. I don't know the rules. I don't know what you guys have agreed to. Everyone's values, morals are different. That doesn't mean that you're wrong or I'm right. Like, I personally don't believe in it.
Yeah.
But
And then, my last thing is just, with your legacy. And I think you've done a remarkable job at showing balance. Little boys and girls that watch, that want to, be on television, I think you represent yourself so well. Like, what do you want your ultimate legacy to be?
Thank you. That I am a good person, really, and that I've lived my life authentically and real, and to be kind to people. I just want people to just see me, and if they can see that, or that I've kind of given back, or that I've helped, or that I've done good work.
Yeah,
that's really
work.
Yeah. Thank you. That's what I care about, and hopefully that I can. I do take being a woman in this business and a woman as a producer very seriously. I think the more women we have that are in those positions, the better. I will say, when I was looking for women to work on my show, it was really hard to find qualified women. And it's not because they can't be, it's because they weren't ever given the opportunities. So there aren't women at the top because there's just not enough that are coming in at the bottom who are earning their way up. And in order to keep women involved, unfortunately right now, you have to have women at the top who want to make sure that they're being brought in.
Yeah. So with you having more control with your show, like, do you make it a point of emphasis to extend yourself to like qualified women in that space?
Always. I will say, like, every woman who reaches out to me, asks for advice, email through anything, I will always respond. I will always help. And on my show too, I make sure I want to hire diversity, and that doesn't just mean men and women, but I will always hire someone who is better for the job first. But I'll make sure I'm also looking really hard to see if there's some diversity available.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I try.
Yeah, you're killing it though. Like,
Thank
seriously,
you.
this, from, a friend, I just want to say that I'm just admired.
Oh, thank you.
Like, I admire everything that you do.
Thank
and,
you.
The time that you always make, and your response is always, quick.
Yeah.
When I ask you something or I need some advice on anything, you just real quick. So I respect that.
Back at you. You've been great. You were amazing. You came on my show, and those numbers were in the millions right away.
Thank you.
So I really appreciate it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Appreciate you.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on.
Good to see you.
Always.